Joe Rogan had Elon Musk on his podcast just last night. And afterwards, Joe Rogan, who is the most influential podcaster that we have in this country, I suppose in the world, tweeting out his endorsement of Donald Trump in this election. If we have the tweet there, and we do, Joe Rogan saying that if it wasn't for Elon Musk, we would be fucked. He makes what I think is the most compelling case for Trump that you'll hear, and I agree with him every step of the way. For the record, yes, that's an endorsement of Trump. Enjoy the podcast. That came out just last night from Joe Rogan. And let's take a look at what Elon Musk, he obviously had a lot to say. Rogan sits down for expansive conversations. But let's take a look at this particular clip of what Elon had to say is one of the many things that could be at stake in today's election.
We still have, like, some of the boycott is starting to lift. And I think if Trump wins, we'll see, probably most of the boycott lift. But if Kamala wins, we'll see that boycott get stronger. And they'll friggin' shut down. There's no way that the sort of Kamala puppet regime would allow X to exist.
The boycott that Elon Musk refers to there is the advertising boycott that has occurred. A lot of companies pulling their advertising dollars from X in the Elon Musk era. So he's talking about the boycott, more and more companies coming back to X, and he anticipates that if Trump wins, you'll see even more companies coming back to X. But the really concerning thing there for this guy who has been on Twitter, now X, for the past 10 years as the Super 70 sports guy, is I really need there to be a fucking X. Okay? It's kind of important. I haven't done this for the last 10 years. Do you think I tweeted about Gabe Kaplan 400 fucking times to have my account taken away from me when they shut X down? I don't fucking think so. All the times that my poor little daughter said, "Daddy, come over here and play with me." And I'm like, not right now. Daddy's tweeting about Linda Carter because he needs to pay the bills and sell t-shirts. So I kind of need X. So that concerns the shit out of me. I hear you laughing, Ronnie T-shirts, but it's not fucking funny. And I am worried about it because Elon Musk is the biggest threat in many ways to the woke movement. Because if we didn't have a place where everybody could speak their mind, and we didn't have a marketplace of ideas where everyone had the opportunity to say, hey, wait a minute, this is what I believe, and we could have some back and forth, we're going to lose democracy, folks. We really are. I don't want to be the boy who cried wolf, but I don't think I am. Free speech is the bedrock of this country. It is the bedrock of this democratic republic. You have to have it. If you silence free speech, you're going to lose everything that has made America great. And it's deeply concerning because X is really the only place that you can go and have a free-flowing back and forth conversation where people from all political persuasions are welcome to say whatever they think without repercussion. And that is certainly not the world that we lived in. Look, you got to realize, I voted for Joe Biden in 2020. I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I've been very clear about that. But it's hard to believe in retrospect, they deplatformed a sitting president on Twitter before Elon Musk came in. They deplatformed the president of the United States who was in office. So what the fuck do you think they're going to care about your speech or mine? We just killed poor Peanut the squirrel, and people are saying, well, look, if they'll come into your house and kill your pet squirrel, euthanize him, what are they going to care about any other rights? And look, there's some truth in that. There's some truth in that. And the idea here of what we're looking at right now is concerning to me because free speech is the issue that is most important to me. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I am from the party of common sense and I'm from the party of looking at all sides of every issue as best as I am capable of with my limited human brain, and then trying to come to the conclusion that I believe is the best solution for everyone, all considered. And of course, there is no perfect solution. Our system isn't perfect. It gives us a binary choice between two people. And you have to decide who it is that you think is going to do a better job. That is what we're all tasked with. And I think sometimes we make a mistake when we assume that somebody is a fan of a particular politician because that's who they're casting their vote for. This isn't fucking American Idol. This isn't the fucking Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. This is, I have two realistic choices. Either person A is going to win this election or person B is going to win this election. And who do I believe is more capable of making decisions that will be to the greater benefit of this republic? And that's what it comes down to, period. Nothing more than that. Doesn't mean that you think that either one is great. One person might be a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. The other person's a 1.5. I got to vote for the 3. It doesn't mean that I'm going to build a monument of them in my fucking backyard. Okay, so that's where we're at this point. You got two choices. So whatever you decide wisely. Joining me now to discuss the important events that are going to be happening today is the founder of OutKick, Clay Travis. Clay, welcome to the program.
Hey, what's up? How are you guys doing?
Doing well, Clay. Appreciate you joining me here. Let me ask you, how did we get here, Clay? Real quickly, you were a Democrat for much of your adult life. I was too. In 2016, I voted for Hillary. You voted for Gary Johnson. In 2020, you voted for Trump. That was the first time that you voted Republican in a general election for president. I voted for Biden in 2020. How did we get here today concerned about the state of our country and believing that perhaps free speech could be hanging in the balance today?
Yeah, look, I think it's been a sort of unfortunate, slow descent into insanity. And what I would say about my political evolution in general is I've tried to be pretty open with it for everybody. But the thing that matters most to me is free speech. Look, the Republicans are not perfect on free speech. But in general, I think the cure for speech you don't like is more speech. And that used to be an actual Democrat policy when I started my political sort of journey as an adult, voted for the first time in 2000. And a quarter century later, Democrats, by and large, are the group that believes that speech should be censored. They're the ones that want to focus on disinformation and misinformation, even though both parties are regularly involved in it. And I'm voting for Donald Trump, and I hope that Trump is going to win today. I am cautiously optimistic, but look, it's not a slam dunk. So people are out there voting. It's a little bit after noon on the East Coast. I would bet that around 70% of all the vote that will be voted nationwide is already in, because a lot of people did what I did and early voted. But I'm going to be on Fox Nation and on OutKick later tonight, like a lot of other people, just watching the election results come in.
Clay, the hyperbole has been through the roof throughout this entire election season, but particularly as we get down to the wire. We showed a clip of Oprah Winfrey earlier in the program today saying that if Kamala doesn't win this election, there may never be another election. We have everyone from Rob Reiner to various other Democrats claiming that they really believe that Donald Trump called for Liz Cheney to face a firing squad if he won. How do you cut through this noise? And do these people really believe these things? Or is this just a rhetorical device that they've used for so long that they're out of things that aren't completely outrageous?
Well, look, we're going to have another election in 2026 and in 2028. I would wager my entire bank account that we will. The only way we're not is if an asteroid hits and things that are far more significant than who controls the House or the Senate or the White House is in play. So I feel really good about Trump's chances to win. I think he should be the pick. But if tomorrow or the next day we wake up and Kamala Harris is the nominee and is going to be inaugurated as president, I'll start thinking about how do you win in 28. And I'd also point out that Republicans have a good chance to take the Senate, which would hopefully balance out her ability to enact any worse policies, in my opinion. But I think Trump is going to win. For people out there who are Trump supporters that think we may never have another election if he loses, I would disagree. And the same thing for Oprah on the side of we'll never have another election. I mean, what I would say is there's a lot of people that are incentivized to make you think that if your side doesn't win on a particular issue, the world's going to come undone. I mean, they did this with Trump when Trump won in 2016 against Hillary. And he didn't have anything to do with COVID ending up getting released from a Chinese lab in my opinion, into the American universe, and so in the world universe. And so I think Trump would have won in 2020 because everybody was doing pretty well. Mortgage rates were low, inflation was low, average wages were up for white, black, Hispanic, Asian men and women, and we were at a position, I believe, in February of 2020 where we had the strongest economy in the history of the United States. So, like, the worst things didn't happen because of Trump's behavior. We also had peace. We didn't have Ukraine getting invaded by Russia. We didn't have Hamas deciding to attack Israel on October 7th. I think Trump had a lot of the dictators a little bit scared. And so I believe Biden and Kamala have done a disastrous job, but I don't think that their election has destroyed the country fundamentally forever. And I think if Trump wins, we can reduce a lot of the problems that they created. But look, the idea that the Republic is going to burn depending on who wins, I do not buy.
Clay, Elon Musk last night on Rogan's podcast said that he felt that if Harris and Walz win, they basically are going to sick the DOJ on him, and it could very well be the end of X. And I know that you agree with me that X is absolutely invaluable right now to the First Amendment in this country. Do you think that there is a real risk there that we could lose the one really true free speech platform that we all have right now?
Yeah, I do think that's why it's my number one issue. And again, people say awful things about me online. You can just type in my name and see the awful things that people are saying about me. But that's the price of free speech. A lot of people disagree with my opinions and they want to attack me personally for a variety of reasons. And I've got thick skin and I'm used to it at this point. And it's just, to me, a small price to pay for everybody being able to say whatever they want in the larger marketplace of ideas. But look, Rachel Maddow last night on MSNBC said if Kamala wins, that she should take away the government's contracts with SpaceX because of Elon Musk's political activism. Look, SpaceX is the only reason we were able to get astronauts out of space. I mean, whatever you think about Elon, he managed to build rockets better than NASA, despite NASA having about a 70-year head start on him. And he managed to redefine how we propel vehicles after they had about a 70-year start on him or 80-year start on him in there with the combustion engine. So the guy's brilliant. I think his connectivity here is the thing that matters the most to him is making humans a multi-planetary species, which is kind of cool. I mean, he wants there to be a colony on Mars. And if you look historically, again, I mentioned that, hey, I would bet a lot of money that we're going to have elections in 2026 and 2028. But if you look at the long range of history, I mean, the danger to humanity from the asteroid-like attack or that took out the dinosaurs back in the day could also eliminate all of humanity if we had something like that, an astrological event, or who knows what other calamitous event could lead to humanity's ending. And I kind of hate the idea of our story ending personally. So I would like to make us multiplanetary as well.
Well, Clay, to wrap up with you here, as you said, probably somewhere on the order of 70% of people have already voted. Most of the people that are voting today, certainly the vast majority have already made up their minds. But if there's somebody out there watching us right now that's going to vote later this afternoon and they're still not sure what they're going to do, what is your quick 30-second pitch on what really matters and why you believe that Trump is the better candidate?
Well, I mean, I think you can look at 4 years of Trump, and I think the results kind of speak for themselves, leave aside COVID. But I would go to what I think is Kamala Harris's basically only pitch. One, he's not Hitler. We've already seen him for 4 years. And if he had wanted to take over totalitarian control, he could have during COVID. A lot of people were begging for the government to take over. And instead, Trump deferred to the states and the mayors. And I actually think led to worse COVID outcome than if we had just made a rational decision like happened with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. So that's the Hitler thing to the side. The other one is abortion. And I meant to finish this when I answered the question earlier. New York Times a couple of weeks ago, they told us for decades that if Roe v. Wade ever got overturned, it would be a seismic change in American life. Do you know what happened? There are now more abortions in the United States than there were before Roe v. Wade got overturned. And if you don't believe me on that, you can go look it up. It's front page of the New York Times a couple of weeks ago. Why is that? Because when Roe v. Wade was overturned, every state decided that based on that decision, got the opportunity to determine what the law would be in their state. So if you desperately care about abortion, I understand there are lots of people out there, that's their number one issue, then you should be focused on your state elected officials, because there is not going to be a federal role for abortion. Republicans aren't going to have enough seats to do anything in the Senate with it or in the House. And Trump has said that he will not touch it, and I don't think he will. And so if abortion is your issue, you should be concerned about who your state legislative member is, who your governor is, and or you should be willing to move to a state that has the abortion laws that more fit your lifestyle. And the idea that would be your North Star, and that you have bought into, it's going to be a Handmaid's Tale if Trump is elected. The data just doesn't reflect that that's true at all. Like I said, abortions have gone up since Roe v. Wade was overturned. Basically, not very much has changed in the country, despite that Supreme Court decision coming down, the Dobbs decision.
All right, Clay Travis, thank you. I know you're busy today. We appreciate you making some time for us, buddy.
Hey, appreciate it. You keep up the good work. We're happy to have you at OutKick, and hope everybody has a great, safe election day, and we get some results tonight.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Have a good one. The great Clay Travis there, OutKick founder, joining me here on the program. Let me bring in now Ronnie T-shirts to get a little reaction here. You heard Clay's thoughts on some of these significant issues that are at stake today. Ronnie, what do you think of what Clay had to say here?
Man, there's just not much else I can say. I mean, I agree with him like almost 100%. And I do like the fact that one of the things he said, and I think it's important because I'll be honest, sometimes I get a little bit caught up in fear. And I think the truth is regardless of who wins tonight, like we're still all going to wake up and live our lives. Like, yes, there might be things that we don't agree with, but like the world's not ending if the candidate that you don't want wins. And I do think it's important to hear from somebody that's a lot more, I guess, tied into the inner workings of everything than myself to hear somebody say that. It's comforting, reassuring.
Well, Ronnie, one thing that's for sure is no matter who wins, when you wake up tomorrow, there's one thing that I can guarantee you is going to happen. And that's America's poll of the day. God damn it. Over at Super 70 Sports on X. I don't care who the president is. I'm asking stupid fucking questions every day. I'm committed to it. And I'll do that whether it's a Democratic administration or a Republican administration. And everyone can count on that. That's my election pledge to the American public, Ronnie. And today I will just go ahead and let everyone know this is your poll. It's like Elton John said, this is your song. I texted you this morning and I said, you can tell everybody that this is your poll, Ron. So let's take a look here at what Ronnie T-Shirts had to say. Yeah, I don't know. Tim's in my ear saying Cardi B. I was gonna say. I don't know. She could work a poll.
That was the name of my first porn.
Let me tell you right now. Yeah, she was a poll worker. Not the kind of poll workers that you're going to encounter today when you go to vote. But you probably don't want to see those poll workers working a poll. But anyway, let me move on, Ron. I'm in danger of digressing here today on the Ricky Cobb Show. Here's what you suggested, Ron, and I'll give you my take since these are your picks. Apple cider is delicious, particularly if it's fermented. Ron, I like the hard ciders especially, but a nice apple cider on a fall day is pretty good. I will say Miracle, and I put in parentheses the movie, just as you sent it to me. I put it online verbatim, Ron. And that's an outstanding movie. Kurt Russell is great in that. So I like that. Mad Magazine, I grew up on it, man. I grew up on it. I've got a Mad Magazine book on my bookshelf. I think it was an important part of me developing my sense of humor and learning that it was okay to question serious things and serious people and that you could use humor to challenge ideas. So I like that. And LL Cool J, who I once saw live, Ronnie. You know, do you remember me telling you? I think I told you this a long time
was
ago.
It a horse race?
Yes. I saw LL Cool J perform at the 2014 Belmont Stakes.
Yep.
I was there that day. He performed Mama Said Knock You Out, much to my delight. Although my favorite LL Cool J, ooh, go ahead, baby. Are you going to sing one now?
I want you to sing. The moment has passed. The moment has passed.
Boy, it was there, though, for a second. Maybe we will get you to sing on this program one day. My favorite LL Cool J song is Going Back to Cali.
Mine's Rock the Bells.
Love that. Love that song. All right. Well, you always are like you're the deep cuts guy. I don't even fucking know Rock the Bells.
That was his first hit.
To be honest with you. You're just showing off now, Ron. All right. So I'm going to vote for Mad Magazine. So let's go ahead and throw it to producer Tim and see what the mayor of Candy Cornville has to say on this important matter. He's going with Miracle, the movie. So there you have it. Apple cider running last, as it probably should. LL Cool J in third place, and then Miracle doing quite well, but Mad Magazine, almost 40% of the vote, Ron. So apparently there's a lot of other middle-aged men and women out there today who have a similar affection to myself for Mad Magazine. It's your poll, Ron, but how would you have voted here, man?
I believe I shared this with you on one of our old podcasts. I voted for Miracle. And that movie, I know exactly the outcome of what the movie's depicting. I've always known the outcome. And every time I watch the movie, I watch like this, just hoping that we beat the Russians. Like they do such an amazing job in that movie that I know the outcome, and I'm still on pins and needles hoping that I get the outcome that I hope for.
Producer Tim right now just told me that he actually was brought to tears by the movie. Pussy. Am I right? No, Ron, I'm waiting. I'm just waiting for you to react. That's supposed to be a touching, beautiful moment, and then you're just going to sit there and let that hang.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with men having emotions. I don't know about, I don't know how you feel, but I'm good with that.
Listen, if you can't shed a tear when the United States takes down the juggernaut that was the 1980 Soviet hockey team, let's talk about Oprah Winfrey, shall we? Oprah Winfrey is out there. As I said yesterday, the surrogates are making their last efforts as we come down to the wire here, the last chance, if there are persuadable voters still. I wonder who the person is that's still out there on the eve of an election, shaking their magic 8-ball up, trying to figure out who they should vote for. I'm not sure if you haven't figured out which lane you're in by now that you've been paying attention, because I think for most of us, we have come to a conclusion somewhere in advance of the day of the election or the day before the election, but everybody's out there. They're emptying the bag, trying to get these votes as best they can, and they're saying some pretty outrageous things. Let's take a look, for instance, at Oprah Winfrey.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
Oh, God.
All right. Come on now. All right, I hear Ronnie T-shirts. He's
Come on,
disgusted.
man.
Let's go.
Holy
Let's
crap.
go to the international streaming star right now in Nashville, Tennessee. Look, Ron, I'm concerned about the future of free speech, and I'm concerned about the future of the platform where I ply my trade. All right. I hear Oprah Winfrey saying that she is concerned for the future of democracy itself. You may never get to vote again. The only thing I would say to this, Ron, is Trump has already been president.
Exactly.
We've seen what he did for 4 years. I just don't know how you can demonize him and say all the bad things that he didn't do when he was actually president. He's really going to do them this time, though. So you should listen to us.
Dude, Whoopi Goldberg the other day said that he's going to break up interracial marriages. Like, these people are insane. Like, it's almost like they have Mad Libs and they're just filling in like just the most preposterous things you could ever think about. And they're like, let's roll with that. But imagine actually thinking that if Donald Trump is elected tonight or a week from now or however long it takes, that he's going to break up interracial marriages. I mean, that is just complete lunacy to actually think that. And to also think that there will never be elections again. I mean, what does she think? We're going to turn into North Korea? Just, it's absolutely insane, Ricky. These people
How is
are
that
insane.
even supposed to work? You couldn't do that if you wanted to.
I don't know.
You couldn't do it if you wanted to. So it's ridiculous, but maybe there are people that would say, all right, Elon Musk, all right, Ricky Cobb, you don't have anything to worry about. They're not going to shut down X. How about that as a counterpoint? Because what we're seeing here from both sides, in fairness, is sort of doomsday prophecy making.
Ricky, I agree with that, but the one is just absolutely zero chance of. Like, there's zero chance of not having elections anymore. There's zero chance of breaking up interracial marriages, but they've kind of showed their hand a little bit with what they're willing to do with Twitter, like you said, banning Trump however many years ago that was. And at the same time, like, leaders of the Taliban still had active accounts. So they've at least shown in a tiny direction what is possible.
They did it for our best interest, remember?
Thank
Donald
you.
Trump had to be deplatformed because it was in your best interest, my best interest, everybody else's best interest. And who decided that? Who decided that? See, that's where we get down to the shit with Tim Walz, and there's no right to hate speech. There's no right to misinformation. There is a right to be an asshole in this country. There is a right to be wrong about stuff. There is a right within reason to hold stupid, repugnant opinions. And we have always had those rights. And that is just the dirt that gets under your fingernails when you have a democracy. That is what happens. If you are going to allow people to be free, that means that people have to have the ability to speak freely, and it means that some of the people are going to say stupid things, because we live in a society where some people are stupid, some people are hateful, some people are nasty. But that's the dirt that gets under your fingernails when you're planting a garden that grows democracy. And to say that, well, wait a minute, you don't have a right to say something I disagree with, because one person's truth is another person's misinformation. And so who gets to decide what qualifies as truth and who gets to decide what qualifies as misinformation? I think it's a much healthier situation when we leave that to the public to sort out. Here's all of the ideas. Here's all of the thoughts. Take them, consider them, and choose as you will. But when we start cracking down and silencing certain people because they have been labeled as some kind of a threat, my concern is much less with those people, generally speaking, than with the people who believe that they should be the judge and the jury of who gets to say what. And I do find it deeply concerning. And I think X being shut down is by 10,000 magnitudes more likely to happen than any of us not having the ability to vote in 2028. Correct. If any particular candidate gets into office. And that kind of fear mongering is so far over the top, Ron, that I do think that a lot of people, it's lost its impact.
Well, I was going to ask you.
Once you've heard so many terrible things about Donald Trump, at a certain point, I think it loses its juice, Ron.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, you're a sociology professor for 21 years. And so I feel like you're a good person to ask this, is like, are there actually people out there? Let's go back to this Whoopi Goldberg one, because that to me is just the most insane thing I've ever heard. Do you think that there's an interracial couple out there in America that was like not quite sure who they're going to vote for? Like, I think maybe Trump, but no, maybe Harris. Like, I don't know. I really have to do some soul searching here, maybe a little bit more research. Do you think that they heard Whoopi say that and they looked at their spouse and they said, Oh, wait, hold on.
Well, where does it even come from?
Does anybody believe that?
What is it even? Well, what is it even based on?
I don't know, but
basis in reality. Has he ever said anything that would lead Whoopi Goldberg to believe that? I think people just dream up their worst case nightmare scenarios.
Well, like I said, it's like a Mad Lib.
They just drop them onto the Donald Trump. Donald Trump is almost like a Rorschach test for whatever a liberal's worst fears are, because they look at Donald Trump and that's what they see. And it says a lot more about the person who's having the fear in a lot of these cases, I would argue, than Donald Trump. Let's take a look at what I'm tweeting, shall we? Over at Super 70 Sports on X.
Do it.
While we still have X, for God's sake. I better be tweeting now while I can, Ron. Here's one for you. I said I wish that I was voting today in this election. The stakes in this election were also important. And there's the 1977 All-Star Game ballot. Ron, did you used to vote in the old days, filling out the old Gillette Major League punch-out ballots?
Ricky, not only did I vote, I stuffed the ballot box. I would take handfuls of those things, bring them home, vote for basically all the Cincinnati Reds. And then the next time we went to the grocery store, I'd stuff the ballots.
Dude, exactly. They used to have them at my local grocery store. Horse Cave, Kentucky. They had the box and the ballots. And while my mom would be going around shopping, I would be voting for Reggie Jackson 7 times.
Furiously,
because that was the thing to do.
Stuffing the ballot box.
I miss those days, man. How about this? Look at this. Here's a campaign promise I made in 2016, Ron, before you even fucking knew me, buddy. I said, as president, I will return the Expos to Montreal and appoint Warren Cromartie as the U.S. ambassador to Canada. By God, I stand on that. Yeah, I ran in 2016 and 2020. I wasn't so active in the campaigning in 2024, Ron, if we're being honest. But yes, that I see right there. Look at that. Foreign policy, motherfucker. That's what we call that. That's my foreign policy plan. I don't know what I need beyond that. How about this? I say America can't be great again until we start making punting leader cards in this fine nation. Topps doesn't even make football cards anymore. I believe that they are getting football cards again in their portfolio in the next year or two, if I'm not mistaken, Ron. But I'm the only candidate who will address this. Why don't the punting leaders still get football cards? Pinning people inside the 20 is as important today as it's ever been, Ronnie.
Did they not have like licensing agreements with the NFL back then? Because look, both of those helmets don't have logos on them.
They did not. Back in the 1970s, Topps did not have the ability with the NFL to use the logos on the helmets. They didn't do that until I think 1982 was the year that they finally got that, Ron. So certainly, it's a better world now when we can have logos on football cards. We've at least got that going for us.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.